Hey everyone, how's it going? Steve here to welcome you to Instant Classic, Episode 2. In this episode, we're going to continue making our way through each character's classic mode route, 5 characters at a time. This series is all about exploring the little-known meanings and facts present in each character's route, and this time we'll be checking out characters from across gaming history along with one you guys voted for in the last episode. Let's get started. Our first character is none other than Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. If you haven't played this game before,
what's wrong with you?
Some people might have some strong feelings about it, but I've got you covered. Final Fantasy VII was the game that ended Square's relationship with Nintendo decades ago. Suffice it to say, before Smash for Wii U, the thought of seeing Cloud of all characters in a Nintendo game was almost laughable. But he's here now and he has a route all his own called A Ride? Not Interested. Our first sort of Easter egg lies in the route's name. In Final Fantasy VII, the player is often given the option to make Cloud reply to certain questions with not interested. It happens so often, in fact, that it's become Cloud's catchphrase to a degree. In fact, in this taunt, Cloud is actually saying not interested in Japanese. That cool bit of info aside, Cloud's route isn't so much about the characters he fights, but where he fights them. Starting things off, Cloud battles Toon Link aboard the Spirit Train. This is cool on so many levels, not just because the game starts with a battle between Cloud and Link, but also because Final Fantasy VII opens with Cloud getting off a train. It's a really cool nod to fans of the original game. From here on out, things get a little crazier. Our next encounter sees Cloud fighting Fox and Falco aboard the Great Fox. There's no real connection to Final Fantasy or to Cloud here, but fighting Team Star Fox aboard their own ship seems like exactly the kind of thing Avalanche would hire Cloud to do. The next match takes place aboard the Halberd as Cloud faces off against Meta Knight. The color palette used for this stage and its overall design makes it feel like it could be right at home in Midgar. I never thought about it before playing the match, but if you slapped a Shinra logo on that thing, you could hide it in Final Fantasy VII no problem. And now for something that is decidedly not from Final Fantasy, Mario's Rainbow Cruise stage. It isn't the Highwind, but there's no arguing that it isn't an airship, and what would a Final Fantasy character do without an airship? In this battle, you'll have to dispatch Mario, Yoshi, and Peach, and while beating down princesses and plumbers isn't what he usually does, with a bit of creative thinking, we could possibly classify Yoshi as a monster, right? If a Nintendo character is going to give you a ride, who better than Captain Falcon, and what better stage than Big Blue? This fight is particularly thrilling considering how fast the Blue Falcon zips through the stage. Or does it? If you haven't seen our video on how this stage and many other stages work, make sure to check it out. After you're done with this one, of course. Our final battle before this route's boss is against Starwolf on Lilat Cruise. Wolf's speed can cause Cloud some problems, but once you get him out of the way, your ride is over. One might even say you've reached your final destination. And of course, waiting for you at that final destination are Crazy Hand and Master Hand. This match is nothing out of the ordinary, but I would have loved for One Winged Angel or something to play during the fight at least, but Final Fantasy is woefully underrepresented on Smash's soundtrack. Once you've taken out the unhinged hands, I think it's safe to say that you've proven your lack of interest in getting a ride by beating up everyone offering one. Next on the list is Nintendo's most health-conscious combatant, Wii Fit Trainer. In her classic mode route, Aerobic Smash, she deals with opponents that might not be living the healthiest lifestyles. Wario pays a visit to the Wii Fit studio in our first match, and he isn't there for nutrition information, though he could probably use it, considering he eats everything from items to other combatants' special moves. Aside from being a hilarious example of the two extremes of Nintendo's character design philosophies, there isn't anything special about this match. Next, 3 Kirbys try to eat our trainer whole in the Great Cave Offensive. Once you've cleared them out, Pac-Man will pay a visit to the studio. While the yellow puck gets a lot of physical activity chasing those ghosts, he is also constantly eating dots, but at least he makes sure to get the occasional serving of fruit. Next, you'll be making a house call to Jungle Japes, where you'll team up with Dr. Mario to work out with a giant King K. Rool. All those bananas must have gotten to the King of the Kremlings, or someone on Sakurai's team thinks K. Rool needs to shed some serious pounds. As we near the end of the route, we'll head to Woohoo Island to battle possibly our worst offender, King Dedede. The guy's minions are themed after food, he eats people like Kirby, and he even lays down during his fights. And finally, before our boss battle, we return to the studio to take some of the jiggle out of Jigglypuff. Good thing the adorable Pokemon is constantly trying to rest. Our last battle is against Master Hand and Crazy Hand, and despite being the most common boss in Classic Mode, we can't think of one that would better fit. Nintendo is fond of reminding you to stretch and take frequent breaks, so maybe Wii Fit Trainer beating up on some hands is meant to be a not-so-subtle reminder. Now it's time for my favorite Classic Mode route so far in Mega Man's Variable Weapon System Online. In this route, the Blue Bomber faces combatants who best embody classic robot masters from the early days of the series. Each fight in this route puts you in the Omega mode for its stage, which is fantastic considering there were no obstacles in Mega Man's boss rooms. It's almost something like a light version of Spirits mode. Let's take a look. The first battle pits you against the Ice Climbers on Summit, while Iceman's theme from Mega Man plays in the background. Popo is a dead ringer for Iceman in his default outfit, making him the ideal choice to start out this route. In fight number 2, we have Samus and Mega Man facing off to Metal Man's theme in the Coliseum. At first you may find yourself wondering why Samus and a Fire Emblem stage would best represent Metal Man, but it's a really great choice. Samus actually wears the same colors as Metal Man, and though it doesn't happen in its Omega mode, the platform in Coliseum is raised and lowered mechanically with tons of little gears, which is reminiscent of Metal Man's stage from Mega Man 2. Now if only we could finish this fight with a single buzzsaw. After Samus, Mega Man takes on Donkey Kong and Jungle Japes, while Woodman's theme plays in the background. The connection on this one is pretty obvious, seeing as Donkey Kong lives in a jungle surrounded by trees, and he's the only character that sports that tree trunk shade of brown that Woodman is so fond of. Now it's out of the jungle and back indoors in your next fight against Captain Falcon in Gamer. Captain Falcon is representing Quickman from Mega Man 2. Quickman's stage is infamous for those lasers that would kill you on contact. In this case, the closest thing to it would be Mom's Gaze, which will damage you, though only in the normal version of the stage. The connection between Quickman and Captain Falcon might seem obvious at first, considering he's the main character in one of the fastest racing games ever created, but it actually goes just a bit deeper than that. Captain Falcon's helmet actually somewhat resembles Quickman's. They both use the same color scheme, and the falcon on the front of Captain Falcon's helmet is similarly shaped to the boomerang on the front of Quickman's. Now as we near the end of Mega Man's route, we have to take on 6 Mega Man clones in a horde battle at Wily's castle. This fight could be a throwback to either the copy Mega Man battle in the original game, or the 3-on-1 hologram Mega Man battle in Mega Man 3. But since these are all real opponents, I'm inclined to say it's an original take on the first game's boss. Once you've cleared out the imposters, it's time to battle Gallium. It's easy to see why Gallium would be chosen, as he looks like he'd be right at home in a Mega Man game, but the connection is actually deeper than that. Gallium is a callback to Mega Man 2's Guts tank, and not just because he has a tank form, but the connection is made more obvious when you realize that a remixed version of Gutsman's stage theme is playing in the background. After you beat him, however, you aren't done yet. This is one of the few routes that has a battle after the boss battle, and it's one of the best I've played so far. Your final fight is against Dr. Mario at Dr. Wily's castle, which is an obvious reference to Wily. It's a fun fight, but what's really cool is what happens after you defeat him. When Dr. Mario gets smashed, Mewtwo descends from the top of the stage to challenge you. This is one of the most clever references I've seen in any route so far, as it's reminiscent of when you defeat Wily in Mega Man 2, only to have him seemingly transform into an alien and start the fight anew. Once you've defeated Mario and Mewtwo, it's game over. Second to last, we have Lucas, the only character in Smash whose game has never been released in the West. Well, officially anyway. In his route, Magic, Sacred Powers, and Psy, we're going to fight against users of various mystic arts to prove that Lucas's psychokinesis is where it's at. Our first fight is the last one I expected personally, with Lucas facing off against Ness in Magicant. What makes this match interesting is that both fighters actually use slightly different variations of the same moves, though in Mother 3, Lucas never actually learns most of the moves he uses in Smash. Once Ness is out of the way, it's on to the Coliseum to battle both variations of Robin from Fire Emblem. Both of them use magic, which is their link to the route. Beyond that, there's nothing too remarkable going on here, so let's go ahead and move on to the next match. This time you'll be headed to Mario Galaxy to battle Rosalina and Luma. While Rosalina's magic hasn't really been detailed by Nintendo, she's obviously using it. I mean, she levitates and carries a wand. Details or not, it's probably a safe bet to assume that someone whose job it is to protect the cosmos in their entirety might have some kind of special powers. Speaking of which, it's time for the Sacred Powers portion of Lucas's route in his fight against Palutena. As a goddess, the connection here is obvious. Fortunately, Palutena has grown some for this fight, meaning a lot of her attacks simply miss against Lucas. Use that to your advantage and finish her off quickly. Once you do, you'll find yourself up against a decidedly less family-friendly magical girl in Bayonetta. Bayonetta is an Umbra witch, and Umbra is Latin for shadow, which I guess you could take to mean she practices black magic. So, pretty much a regular old witch then, right? Before this route's boss, you'll have to take on Mewtwo. As a psychic Pokemon, Mewtwo fits right into the theme, considering his powers aren't all that far removed from those of Ness and Lucas. Though Mewtwo can't generate elemental attacks with his mind, he can use various other psychic powers. Once you've proven that man can best Pocket Monster, it's on to the final fight against Master Hand and Crazy Hand, and like most other times that they appear in Classic Mode, they don't really seem to fit the theme. But maybe you could make an argument for them being psychic projections or something. I mean, they are disembodied floating hands after all. Last but not least, we have the character you requested, none other than the Phazon fighter herself, Dark Samus. In her route, the Great Poison Given form, Dark Samus is going to take on famous characters from the Smash roster with an evil doppelganger at her side. The first match takes you to Hyrule Castle 64 to battle Link with an evil Zelda by your side. This evil Zelda is meant to represent Princess Hilda from A Link Between Worlds. I'm not going to spoil the game for you here, but she's pretty bad. With the hero of the wild sent back to the Shrine of Resurrection for another century-long snooze, it's on to Arena Fearox for a battle against Chrom and Lucina with Robin on your team. If you haven't yet played Fire Emblem Awakening or played it a long time ago like I did, not to worry. Derek had to remind me on this one, but towards the end of Fire Emblem Awakening, Grima, the Fell Dragon, possesses Robin, turning him against his allies. In Fire Emblem Heroes, this form is known as Fell Reincarnation Robin, though that's never used in the source material. Next, Dark Samus brings a corrupted Ken to take out Ryu on the Suzaku Castle stage. Ken is sporting dark colors with lighter hair, which is a call out to Violent Ken, the only character to appear in a Street Fighter game exclusively on Switch. However, he was originally created for SNK's SVC Chaos. Now it's time to go to Sylph Company to battle Charizard, Squirtle, and Pikachu with an evil Ivysaur in your corner. This match can be pretty tough considering it's 3-on-2, but as long as you make good use of the platforms on the stage, you'll be fine, but the odds won't get any better for you in your next match. Second to last, we have a stop at Peach's Castle, where Mario, Peach, and Daisy battle you with an evil Luigi at your side. This one has to sting a little for all the Waluigi fans out there, especially considering they put Luigi in Waluigi's colors. At least you can help him exact a little revenge on his Mushroom Kingdom cohorts in spirit. Finally, we return to Norfair, where Dark Samus is on her own in a free-for-all against Samus and Ridley. Of course it makes sense for Dark Samus to be alone here, considering she is the evil clone in this scenario. Fortunately, you don't have to face these two one-on-one, considering Ridley also wants Samus out of the picture for reasons all their own. Considering their entirely different motivations for ridding the universe of the Bounty Hunter, it isn't surprising that Ridley isn't on your side either. Once you've taken them both out, it's time for the final fight of the course. And like so many boss fight, Dark Samus' final battle is against Master Hand. There's no link here to the route, but as we're discovering as we continue, that's pretty much the case whenever Master Hand or Crazy Hand is trotted out. That's it for Instant Classic Episode 2. I really hope you enjoyed it, and as always, let us know in the comments who you want to see in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for all things Smash and Nintendo. We'll see you next time. Bye!